I would like to start with just getting some clarifications from the Minister, if it's okay, regarding this particular bill. So, my understanding, reading from Part 1, is we're looking at adjustments to how the firearm prohibition orders, the FPOs, is issued. And one of the things that's kind of really drawn my attention to this, and I couldn't find it in the regulatory impact statement as well, is it talks specifically, let's say Clause 7 speaks specifically around when an offender is sentenced and then the FPO is issued. But one of my questions is around, if the intention of this bill is to provide for greater public safety, one of the things we hear a lot from migrant communities in general is people who may not have had an offending in the first place, but who may be on any form of watch list or etc. So, noting that the regulatory impact statement didn't actually mention that there is any form of public consultation, and the previous consultation based on select committee and also previous things in 2020 may have been outdated as well. I was wondering if the Minister wouldn't mind clarifying or reassuring us that there has been some form of consultation or appropriate consultation that's been done with the migrant community around other potential risks when it comes to something like this. Again, you know, when we're looking at the issues of FPO, specifically in the context of those who offended, what are some of the provisions around those who have not offended but should be issued or should have some form of FPO that's kind of been put in place because of the idea of public safety. And again, in the regulatory impact statement, it talks about public safety in the context of gangs again, and this is something we've discussed in previous bills, but again, I'm not seeing it from the perspective of genuine firearm safety in public. So again, I would like to get some clarifications from the Minister of what level of consultation they've done with the migrant population. And I think in this case particularly, I'm thinking of the Muslim population and our Muslim whānau. But also in this case, when we're looking at this, is there, not including in the risk, is there any other consideration around this idea of FPOs actually providing public safety? Thank you.
Now we will jump straight to Nicole. McKee didn't answer immediately, but let's jump to Nicole's answer.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to respond first to the Green members' comments, which I was a little confused on, so please feel free to stand up if I don't answer in a way that answers your question. The reason why I'm a little confused is because I had made mention already that there had been extensive consultation in 2021 regarding the search powers, so we feel that the consultation had taken place. You specifically mentioned the Muslim community, and where I'm confused is the Firearms Prohibition Order is to actually stop people who should not be in possession or use of firearms from being out on the streets and using them. And the way that you spoke didn't speak to that, so that's why I just got a little bit confused, because I would think that any vulnerable community would be happy with the fact that we are looking at utilising the monitoring of compliance on those people with FPOs to make sure that they don't cause harm in any community whatsoever, regardless of ethnicity or race or religious belief, that anyone who should not be in possession of a firearm is able to be monitored for that compliance. So I hope that that addresses, and please feel free to stand up again if it doesn't, not right now because I'm talking. you'll get another go. To the member from the Labour Party regarding the human rights, the Attorney-General actually found that the bill was consistent, or is consistent with the Bill of Rights Act 1990, and she concluded that the purpose of the proposed search power is not to locate evidence of offending, but to ensure compliance with the FPOs. The Attorney-General also noted that searching to monitor compliance is generally reasonable where a person is subject to a community-based sentence, or on bail, or on engaging in highly individual, I can't even say that word, high activities such as driving a car on a road when they shouldn't be. We already have these sorts of things in place. She also noted that administrative searching and surveillance to ensure compliance with the law is also common to some highly controlled industries. And she noted that the exercise of the power could still breach Section 21, the right to be free from unreasonable search and seizure, if it was used unreasonably. For example, through excessive searching, for searching at unreasonable times, or searching for an ulterior purpose. The Auditor General's report also has been published when the bill was introduced, so it is already public, although the member is still looking for it. And another point that I would make is that licensed firearm owners are also restricted to, well, not restricted, they are open to being searched at any time whatsoever just for being a licensed firearm owner. So the ability to actually monitor compliance and search those with the Firearms Prohibition Order seems reasonable in this case.
So two things here, just to add context. One, Lawrence is a doctor in Egyptology. I had no idea about that. That's awesome. That's very awesome. Second thing is, just to add a bit of context, because I don't know how much of the audience is aware of this, what they're discussing there is actually the removal of a provision within the bill that prohibits police from being able to do search warrants on property that people aren't on. So it would allow police a chance to go into a property that's not occupied and do a search just because they think there might be something there. I'm pretty sure it's a warrantless search based on a belief or a cause for belief that they've taken out of the very first draft of the Act. So that's what that discussion is about.
I think both answered well. I mean, sorry, is that Nicole McKee, right?
Nicole.
Yeah, Nicole answered well, and the question was quite all right, well posed, I would say. I would say that it's a good bill. I mean, in the sense that, again, I mean, when I say that it's a fine tuning of the law again, right, to target teeny houses selling meth where there could be guns, and there's been like about 3 or 4 times, right, that police went in, and 4 or 5 people had guns, illegal firearms. They had no license, and then they are slapped with this firearm protection order. So it's not done in any breaching of Section 21. I know where you're coming from. Ulterior, the word bracket, open inverted commas. I mean, my legal background is that ulterior can actually mean ulterior motive. Like, okay, you are a member of X political party. We don't like you. You're just going to create that on you anyway. So we're going to just frame you, defame you, and say all kinds of bad things and say that you have a gun. And then we're going to instigate the police to go to your house. But look,
I've actually know someone who actually had that happen. So someone actually had their house raided by the police because a guy was jealous of another guy with a girl at a bar, and so went through to the police, and they did. Well, in that case, there was a warrant. And it was for unlawfully holding firearms, and the police came out empty-handed.
And now that opens up from the legal side of it. From my background is that you can actually then do 2 things under law. You can get legal aid to actually sue the police for abuse of powers. But then, of course, you don't do that because the police is a respected force who receive information and disinformation about, I don't like this guy who sells the coffee cup guy, which is Sam. So I'm going to say that he has 50 guns, which is a lie, and I'm going to tell 50 people, and then we are going to raid his place. But then now the police will be in trouble, not because it's their fault, because they choose to listen to one point of view without evaluating in
poor
detail
quality information.
So of course police 95% of the time won't do that, right? So they would be very conscientious. They will see there is a real place trafficking in meth or guns, illegal guns, and they say, okay.
If we look at Christchurch, that would have been years of intelligence before they went to do the whole raiding thing. There would be years of evidence to plan to know that when they went in, it was so rock solid that that basically it will be a slam dunk case. That was the recent. I can't remember what the name of the gang was, but it was like basically it was. I think it's the first time in New Zealand.
It was one of the 501 gangs.
And I think, forgive me for saying this, but let's say politics is politics, right? And those in parliament wants to appeal to their voters. And forgive me for saying this again, but Green members of parliament will try to say that it's a target on Maori, when we know it's not. Maori is fine-tuned to target gang members, not from any cultural group. I think there's one gang leader who's even Chinese, for goodness sake. So the point I'm trying to say here is that it's actually targeted at homes and houses that police suspect to be reasonably, like Paul, you were saying, remember there was some like, you obviously people were going there to buy drugs, and they obviously have weapons, and so police goes in, take the weapons away so that an untoward incident won't happen where, drive by, then they shoot at the other rival gang, and then some Joe and Jill public gets caught in the middle of the crossfire, tragic incident, blah, blah, blah. So this is what this firearms protection bill is meant to fine-tune. So I don't think it's targeted at Maori. Of course, yes, you can say more people in X gang have more Maori, and there could be more Kiwis in one gang, like Hells Angels. So that doesn't mean then they are targeting Kiwis. You know what I mean? Yeah,
So you raise a really interesting point there, but I don't know if you quite realize that you've done it yet. In that there's a lot of research that comes out around, in fact, there was research released this week around how Māori have a higher rate of being stopped and searched and arrested by the police than non-Māori for everything in general. And so the idea of protecting Māori from that kind of inherent bias and racism that's institutionalized within the police is a really big thing that the Green Party comes up on. One of the other things that's come out fairly recently is things like white supremacy and the radicalization of people in the online sphere to a more white supremacy type of mindset offline. That our government, this one and the last one, have kind of dropped the ball on a little bit. It hasn't been their primary focus, even after what we saw in Christchurch. And that's a really concerning area for a lot of people who work within the intelligence agency field and a lot of people who work in misinformation and disinformation field. This is the kind of law that, if done well, could be used to help stomp down on that. There was an arrest done just a few months ago of a known white supremacist outside of Christchurch who is sitting there collecting illegal weapons. Perfect use of this kind of law. But there are so many more out there that you see in certain communities that aren't being picked up on, and the police aren't giving them the main focus. But we see those reports come through saying that more Māori are likely to be pulled over at a traffic stop, that more Māori are likely to be arrested or are more likely to be tased. And so when somebody like Lawrence gets up and says, we need to focus on this community and what they think, it's because they're the community that tends to be disproportionately impacted by it. So I think it's part of their kaupapa to make sure that you are getting those equitable results, but sometimes that means changing the attitudes that are being put in place by the laws. This law, I think, could do really good things, but it does come with that big question mark of this government just got rid of the last 8 suggestions from the Royal Commission on what to do after the shooting. So is it really authentic? This is Nicole McKee, who just last week was on Q&A telling people that she was the one who campaigned to John Key and Paula Bennett to make sure that they could maintain those different additions to firearms to make them semi-automatics that was used by the Christchurch shooter. So how authentic is what she's bringing to the table? So there's a lot of big moving parts that come into this to make sure that everybody's kept safe, which is the ultimate goal.
I think the part that I had a discussion earlier with Sam, not even now, but 2 months ago, I was on the bus and he called me, was about how this Firearms Prohibition Order bill that was to they do have rigorous, very strong, rigorous controls on automatic rifles. I was actually of the view, I myself would want to ban that because I don't see you hunting wild boar in a nice hunting ground or in a large farm where you need to have automatic rifles. Just a single shot rifle will be enough. So automatic rifles are okay. I have no issues. You have the right to be a hobbyist and buy 30 guns and show off to your friends how rich you are. And by all means, ensure that you are an expert shooter, blah, blah, blah. But the danger of that, I think I mentioned with Sam, is in terms of security and safety, is where if you're in a small town and word gets around and then the local gangs, the real ones, find out, this is a stash of free firearms, let's go and steal while he's on holiday in Bali, there's the danger where that opens up that house to be a whole catchment of firearms stolen or whatever. And so I think I think that if there are rules to tighten this side of it, where I think automatic rifles, or what do you call it, assault rifles, are dangerous because, I mean, if a wild boar is charging at you and you splatter it around, you probably kill 3 of your own hunting group. So, I mean, the point is that you don't actually need that. So, I think there are provisions, that technicalities, right, to be very strict. But the thing is, the point here, I think, is more importantly that we need to know that this firearms protection or the prohibition order is not targeted at any culture. I mean, like you say, but it's been good because we have successfully targeted the extremists. It can be left, right, whatever religion. It can be Nazi. It can be whatever. Okay, so I think that's the great thing about this. But do you guys think that we should actually ban assault rifles? I mean, what do we need it for?
I don't think we need them.
Yeah,
I know that there are some farmers who argue it for specific, like animal control issues, like wild animal control issues. But I'm not a gun person. I couldn't tell you the specifics behind it. But I don't see many reasons.
Ask Nicole McKee. She will be able to tell you.
Yeah, that's true.
Assault rifles. Assault rifles can splatter like hundreds of rounds per minute, or what is it, per minute? Or I'm not sure. I'm not an expert there, but it's dangerous. If it gets into the wrong hands. If you're a farmer who enjoys having a nice beer with all your mates and then showing off the latest gun you've got, by all means, but then that can fall into the hands of gang members. That's the danger. So
should we